How would you win a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald if the Gen 3 AI controlled your every move? Today we're going to find out in this romhack Super Auto Pokemon where youngster Calvin will pick all my moves and which Pokemon to switch to in battle. Can I overcome these odds with careful planning and good move choices? But first, let's go over the rules. If a Pokemon faints, it's dead forever. Cardiac arrest. If I white out, it's game over. No duplicate Pokemon, no over leveling. I can't use items in battle, I can't catch Pokemon, I can't sell any items, and no glitches or exploits. So I name myself Sag and wake up in a haze with my butt aching in the back of a van I don't know. And I don't remember anything or how I got there, but I'm compelled to talk to my mom and my neighbor, and with that I can finally start my adventure. And the first thing I see is a chubby man running in circles, screaming for someone to save him. Instead of helping, I steal a ball from the man's bag and snatch a Pokemon. The wild Zigzagoon chasing him runs off in fear, then the man claims to be a professor and thanks me for saving him by giving me a Zigzagoon of my own. This is where I face my very first battle, where the spirit of youngster Calvin takes over my body and faces this Poochyena for me. It's kind of like a reverse Yu-Gi-Oh scenario. With my first victory, I head up and see a strange man at the end of Route 101, and he whispers over to me, "Hey kid, you want to take a look at my Wurmple?" as he rips open his trench coat to reveal something that resembles a Wurmple, I guess. I feel uncomfortable, so I just snag a Poochyena out of his hand and run off. The ball is kind of sticky and smells like Flarp. Then I see a very similar man on Route 103. He's very out of breath and sweaty, calls out to me, "Hey, I want to show you something cool," as he rips open his trench coat to reveal the same shriveled up Wurmple. I mutter something and grab the Whalmer he has, and to my utter disappointment, he only knows Splash and Growl. And if that wasn't bad enough, on my second encounter, a level 3 Wingull completely wipes my entire team. A level 3 Wingull. All my level 5 Pokemon. On the second route. I'm starting not to feel so good about this. Attempt 2 starts the same, but this time I get a Carvanha instead of a Whalmer from the weird smelling man. And same thing, on the way to May, I lose Zigzagoon. I have to make a dead Pokemon PC box, and I immediately put it to great use by having Poochyena die right after. But I finally make it to May with a full health Carvanha that's now level 6, and he just completely wipes the floor with her Trico. We head back to Professor Bitch, and he asks me how I got 3 Pokemon already. "Hey kid, you want to take a look at my Wurmple?" I would say we passed our first big hurdle, but every single battle feels like a hurdle. I make my way to Route 102 and make the mistake of picking up Ralts, which only knows Growl. Great. As I leave the weird smelling man, I hear him shouting, "Wurmple, use Harden!" Then the first trainer I see, I feel a strange connection to him as my soul leaves my body and youngster Calvin takes over. But Calvin only sees red and rages out on the opposing Pooch. And in the very next battle, I accidentally say yes to switch out, and that spells the end for Ralts. Even with no attacking moves, Calvin decides not to switch out and sacrifices Ralts instead. I make it to Petalburg with my goat Carvanha and pick up a Corphish. Then for some reason, my deadbeat dad tells me to help a Make-A-Wish kid learn to catch Pokemon when I don't even know how to catch Pokemon myself. And this stupid kid catches a Ralts. I laugh, knowing it only knows Growl and he won't even be able to level it. I make it to the next vendor and buy a Talo and head straight into Petalburg Woods to buy a Shroomish, our most important Pokemon for the first gym. As I make my way through the woods, 2 grown men are playing tag, and one hides behind me as to not get tagged, and the other screams out that he's gonna kill him. As I fight his Poochyena, the light leaves my eyes as he hits sand attack after sand attack, but after a ton of leers, a single rage actually takes him out. The coward gives me infinite rare candies so that I can use them to grind up, so he's not all that bad. I give him a smooch on a cheek. I make it out of the woods with no deaths and teach Shroomish Bullet Seed and easily clear all of the trainers on my way to Rustboro. I have to steal HM01 cut from the cut guy because I asked if he was cut or uncut. He wasn't laughing? Then I go up to Route 116 and pick up an Abra, even though I knew it only had Teleport. Teleport is just very useful before Fly, and eventually he will turn into one of the best Psychic types in the game. I clear the rest of the route and grab Whismur from the Rest Turf Tunnel, and I think the confidence from clearing the route so easily has gone to my head as I come into face Roxanne with only level 13 and level 10s, completely relying on Shroomish and Corphish. However, Shroomish using real moves like Leech Seed, Absorb, and Bullet Seed can completely solo Roxanne's 2 Geodudes with ease, even being a level under the level cap. Nosepass won't go down so easily though, and as we trade blow after blow, it's pretty obvious who's gonna come out on top. I have perma heals with Leech Seed, Nosepass is paralyzed, and I hit super effective absorbs when the time is right. Calvin truly is on his A game as we secure the stone badge deathless. As I leave the gym, I see the 2 men playing tag again in the city, and the coward begs me to help. I don't really care until I come across an old man that says his bird has been stolen, and I was on board to kick this guy's ass. Corphish completely crushes his pooch between his little crab claws, and we save Pico the Wingull and the goods or whatever. I give the Devon goods back to the coward, and he wants me to meet his master, President Stone. And he asks me to deliver a letter to his son at Dewford Town. He also tells me not to read the letter. It's for his son only. I snatch the letter out of his hand and tell him, I got you, you hear me? I head to Mr. Briny to hitch a ride to Dewford Town to face the second gym leader and deliver the letter. I get a tentacool and wander into a strange house where everyone is obsessed with expensive anime. But I got places to be, so I head into Granite Cave, and unfortunately, as I head deeper in, I had Talo as my lead, and he was headbutted to death by an Aeron. And as I hold my dead bird, I wipe my tears away with 100 Poké-Dollar bills as I buy an Aeron to replace her. I then deliver the letter to Mr. Steven Stone, and he gives me Steel Wing in return. Oh my god, that was so nice of him. I swoon and Steven catches me as we lock eyes for a brief but powerful moment. This displeases Calvin. Now onward to Slateport! Overconfidently, I start pummeling trainers on the beach, and everything was going smoothly, but the Soda Pop house showed me who was boss, and my little baby Corphish gets really confused and knocks himself out. And then the very next trainer, this happens. I didn't think Calvin would send out a Pokemon with no health, but today I learned about Calvin's cognitive decline in real time. I get into Slateport and pick up a Magikarp, and a bit further up I pick up a Gulpin so I can finally have a full team of 6. And with that, we must face Brawly to move forward. I was hoping to start Gulpin and maybe take out a Pokemon or 2 and then sack him and try to switch into Kadabra to clean up the rest. And it was going well until Calvin switches into Kadabra before Gulpin can finish off Machop. He does the job, but then we switch right back into a 3rd HP Gulpin just to die, and then switch right into Whismur to wake up the Metatite. You can't possibly have worse synergy happening here. Whismur does take out the Metatite though, and we do switch back into Kadabra, and he just one-shots Makuhita, which makes me think I should have just let Kadabra lead and wipe the whole team, but at least with that, we have secured the Knuckle Badge with only 1 death. I head back to President Stone to let him know about my great success, and he gives me an EXP share. Then it's back to Slateport to save Captain Stern from some Team Aqua goons. Shroomish is easily able to clean the clock of the 2 Carvana, and this is where we have our first encounter with Archie. He puffs out his big, bulking chest and says, "Hey, don't mess with my crew, or you'll be sleeping with me at the bottom of the ocean and the fishes." Oh wait, that's not what I meant. I just click A as fast as possible. I can finally head towards Mauville, but not before this random homeless man puts his phone number in my phone. Juan has really gone downhill. And speaking of downhill, we hit a new low with this wild battle, as I lose my level 21 Kadabra to a level 12 Poochyena, because I only have psychic type moves, except disable. So, Calvin and his almighty wisdom, that evil rat bastard, hits disable 20 times in a row and doesn't switch out. So I lose one of my strongest Pokemon to a wild Poochyena moments before I have to face May. I teleport back on his corpse to Slateport in absolute shame. This May fight was supposed to be rather free, but as Tentacool dies to Wingull, I feel the wipe incoming. Thankfully, Shroomish takes out Wingull, and Whismur absolutely crushes Slugma with a single uproar, and Aaron is actually able to clean up Grovyle with a few Metal Claws. It was a totally unexpected win. Then at the end of the route, I face a trainer I don't even need to fight. And I need to start being realistic here. Am I really going to be able to complete this if I'm losing so many Pokemon this early? I trudge on getting Rock Smash, my bike, C-Dot, black glasses, before I wipe the floor with Wally and his Ralts. And on my way to get my last encounter, I lose Shroomish to a random Roselia. And at this point, I know it's not possible anymore, but I just have to go through the motions. I grab my Electrike and I head to Watson. And you can barely even call this a battle, as he just dismantles my team one by one. We are thoroughly defeated by Watson and his electric types before even seeing Manectric. And this means I have to restart. In Attempt 3, I avoid every single trainer and wild encounter I possibly can to get back to Watson in a much healthier state. We start off so much better though, with Voltorb missing Self-Destruct, allowing Mightyena to survive, and then we easily take out Watson's Electrike with our Kecleon. However, the force that is Magneton is not to be trifled with, as he kills my Poochyena with a few Sonic Booms and Sparks. But Breloom is able to send the Doug Trio wannabe to the scrapyard. This just leaves Manectric, but Calvin goes nuclear and decides we should systematically cull his least favorite Pokemon while simultaneously taking down the rabid electric dog. We are able to pull it off, but not without a hefty price, as we leave with only Breloom and Loudred as the sole survivors. But hey, I'd do anything for the Dynamo badge, you know what I'm saying? Thankfully, we have enough Pokemon in the PC to have a team of 6. We go and get Strength, which is our second strongest HM in the game. So many Pokemon can learn it, and it being 80 base power and 100% accuracy, we can finally say goodbye to those dirty starter moves. And onwards north past Mauville, we pick up a Trapinch, a Marill, and a Coughing, making sure to avoid most battles with precise movements and tactical repels. I stop at a handsy grandma's house. She was begging me to stay, but I had a Skarmory to buy, and I needed to breathe that fresh air in Fallarbor town. You can really feel the dust as you breathe. But I don't stay for long, as I head straight south to grab Barboach and make him my Barbitch. And who do I see next? Of course, it's Archie, and he's flaunting his huge tits around like he owns the place. And like the pot calling the kettle black, Archie tells me to watch out for Team Magma. Okay. But, I get a Bagon, a genuine, bona fide, badass Bagon. Surely, he'll get to evolve into Salamence, right? But with that, I can take the lovely lift to get up to Mount Chimney, and I start unloading a can of whoop-ass on Maxie's underlings with my water types, and now I just need to finish him off. He's talking to himself, and his lines are identical to Archie, but just replace the word "see" with the word land. And this fight starts off as a doozy. 4 defense curls from Azumarill into a roar to bring in Barboach, and he tries his best to stay alive. But the spirit of Calvin grows restless, and instead of using a move, instead of switching out, he throws a Master Ball. Alright, time out. What the actual fuck, Calvin? Now Maxie's calling us a thief. Us! I pick up my jaw and move on from this absurdity and have Wailmer clean up Mightyena. But Calvin wanted to fuck with me more and swapped in between Azumarill and Wailmer just to leave him within an inch of his life and astonish his Camerupt to death. What is wrong with you? Maxie says he wants to do this again sometime, and Archie with his giant, bodacious breasticles tries to recruit me, but I've got bigger fish to fry. Like hatching my egg into why not. Next, it's time to fight Flannery, and this should be easier with the abundance of water types that I have, and Azumarill is not playing any games. He just starts bubble beaming left and right. Down goes Numel, down goes Slugma, down goes Camerupt, and the final boss Torkoal comes out, and Calvin loses his fucking marbles and starts defense curling in the fetal position as Torkoal hits repeat body slams and then finishes off Azumarill with Sunny Day Overheat. And I just pray to God that Calvin comes to his senses. But he sends in Trapinch to his death instead. To be fair, I think most Pokemon were fainting there, but it could have been Numel, you sick freak. We are able to finish the battle with Wailmer and secure the Heat Badge, but I think that could have been done deathless. And then what happens next just hurts. My savior, the one who I thought could bear it all, my Wailmer, dies to an encounter versus a Baltoy. And it's moments like this, just when I think I finally have some good Pokemon with some good moves, some dumbass, bullshit-ass, stupid-ass can just die to anything. And I blame it all on Calvin, you lick-spittle ninny-hammer.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
I make it to Petalburg Gym without any more issues, but I may think it's about time I look up what mandatory trainers Pokemon are, because my first encounter spells disaster as my Breloom is one-shot by a Swellow. Okay, Calvin, that one's my fault. I'm able to clear the next 2 trainers without much trouble, and now I'm ready to face my deadbeat dad. He said he would only see me if it was to challenge his gym, and he explicitly told me he wasn't coming back after he got the milk. I was very scared of this fight because, gulp, slacking the girth god. But as I lead coughing, my sacrificial pawn, he's actually able to take out Spinda. Next comes in Crawdaunt versus Vigoroth, and I clear him with 2 bubble beams. But Big Dick Slacking comes out, and Calvin actually rubs 2 of his brain cells together and sends out a decisive Gyarados for an Intimidate trigger. Maybe he's learning. We do a very lengthy back and forth exchange, trading hits, taking some naps. He uses a potion, but eventually Gyarados falls to a counter, and that's when Crawdaunt hops out and says, "I don't get tired," claps the king's cheeks, and all that's left is Laloon, which coughing can easily handle. Oh wait, never mind. Which Crawdaunt easily handles. You really need to stop making my nads tighten up like that. We secure the balance badge, but we don't celebrate for long, as this very kind and rushed fellow needs me at his house, where he said, "I'm just gonna take some pictures of you and I'll give you this cool HM." So I do it, and it's Surf, the best HM. And I'd argue, the best move in the entire game. The map finally opens up a ton for me now, but I head east of Mauville because I want to progress the story, and I'm hoisted by my own petard as Calvin humbly reminds me that I need to be avoiding trainers, as he kills our Numel for literally no reason. I move on quickly, actually avoiding the trainers, and pick up a Feebas that I have no idea how to evolve. That's a problem for future me. And into the Weather Institute to crush 3 more Aqua members with relative ease, but we still must face the admin. which me and Calvin do the two-step bang-bang shuffle-a-roo and kill the Carvana and Mightyena. I wasn't even sweating. They start screaming about Mount Pyre as I snatch a cast form from one of the hands of one of the victims. And then it's time for another fight with May. Thankfully, she's not too strong, and Loudred makes light work of her Pelipper. Bagon clears the flame-broiled chicken with a few strengths, and it just leaves Lombre. And Calvin hits a little bait and switch with the Lanoon into Skarmory angle. We get the HM fly for our troubles and make our way into Four Trees City. I don't stay long because I need to buy this Absol to the east, and then we head south to find Steven having a schizophrenic episode, but he says on God something's there and uses what's called the Devon scope, and a Kecleon appears. I beat it shit in and he gives me the scope because I'm the first person to believe him. God, he's dreamy. I keep moving southeast and see some gooners loitering around the safari zone and pick myself up a Gloom. But if we want to use fly, we need to get the 6th gym badge, so on to the gym. Surely no deaths this time, right? But why would I show you this battle if something didn't happen? And that's right, my Shelgon dies, and the Salamence stream is dead. I beat the rest of the team, but I'm pretty sure I need Salamence for the Elite Four. We make it to Winona, and I lead Absol, thinking maybe somewhere in Calvin's dark heart he just hits Sword Dance a couple of times and sweeps the whole team. But with Perish Song, we have to switch anyways, and Skarmory just slices up Tropius in 2 hits, and I decide to keep Skarmory in as to save power for Altaria. It's a slow fight, but Skarmory gets the job done, and when she plans on sending in her own Skarmory, I thought a switch to Crawdaunt would be good. But instead Swellow comes out, which doesn't do much, and just dies. And then, like I wanted, Crawdaunt comes out and kills off the Skarmory. Then the dreaded Altaria comes out, and the dragon dances start. But they also never stop, as Crawdaunt hits a crit and ends Altaria before we have a major disaster, and we actually secure the Feather Badge. With that, I head to Lily Cove to delete some moves and pummel May some more so I can go shopping. Move, bitch, get out the way. Then I make my way to Mount Pyre and defeat Stooge after Stooge. They don't stand a fucking chance in the face of greatness. But who do I see standing atop Mount Pyre? It is none other than the large-chested, water-obsessed Archie. Like a responsible adult, he immediately pulls out. And these 2 senile geezers have a shiny red coin thing that I steal while they aren't looking. I then need to consult the wiki because I forgot where to go. I head straight to the magma base and pick up a Torkoal, easily making my way through. Every battle felt so underwhelming. Even with Calvin at the helm, all these fights felt way too easy and everyone was so underleveled. I thought I was overleveled. The admin was at least a decent fight, but still no match for me. I make my way to Maxie as he whispers out to Groudon and unveils his blue balls. Groudon absolutely hates it. He hates it so bad he learns Fly and dips. Maxie proceeds to blame me for his problems, and we end up battling. But I did not expect the level jump, so Crawdaunt just has to try his best. But with the confusion and all the hits he took, Mightyena lives with a sliver, and Crawdaunt dies. He's been my rock for a long time this playthrough. I will miss you, my crab boy. Staryu cleans up the mess, but Crobat's out, and he's level 38. My Loudred puts up a good fight, but he dies as Crobat's in the red. And thankfully my goat Absol can come out and even through the confusion kill Crobat. And if I can just kill his level 39 Camerupt, I can regroup and come back from this. But for some reason, we have Skarmory come out, and he eats Rock Slide after Rock Slide. 4 levels down. And then just completely shafts this Camerupt, restoring a lot of lost faith that I had in this run. I tell Maxie Groudon left because his nasty, shrivelly blue ball, and I dip to go hang out with Captain Stern because we tight like that. But I see him with the press, so I try to jump in, but they're already leaving. Then all of a sudden, we hear a big sexy man on a megaphone. And guess who it is? It's Archie. and his butt buddy to go steal a submarine and fiddle with Kyogre. And of course, it's all up to me, a 10-year-old, to stop them. So I head straight to the Aqua hideout, and I'm able to pick up an electrode. But no Master Ball in sight. This angers Calvin greatly. He takes out his anger on every single Aqua grunt we have to face, with precision and pizzazz. We make it to the admin, and his tits are fully flying around as we battle. I'm glad Calvin took over because I was mesmerized, but it was just another day for half a shark. The admin gets left behind because he can't swim, and I make my way to Moss Deep City. And sadly, most of these Pokemon on the way are duplicates, so I don't really get many good pickups. All that leaves me is to take on the 7th gym. And of course, in my very first battle, it actually goes fine and we win without any trouble. Imagine that. But we were not so lucky on the next battle. I see Wobbuffet, and I see a death waiting to happen as he dishes out a Destiny Bond, and down goes Sharpedo, my best chance at beating this gym. I press on and assemble the rest of the best of what I have and go into the Tate and Liza fight. What makes double battles more brutal than singles is that I truly have no control anymore. It is all up to Calvin, but these Pokemon just aren't enough, as they are getting 1-shot and 2-shot, and just as quick as the battle started, it was over, and I wipe to the 7th gym leader. Okay, I obviously need to be able to refill on Pokemon, so I'm getting rid of the no duplicates rule. Like, if I have all the Pokemon from a vendor, then I can just buy any one of them as long as it's a new route. And it's my challenge, eat my butt about it. I take my time and dodge as many battles as I can, but I still lose key Pokemon along the way. Most of the losses now are just from gym leaders and the occasional brain meltdown from Calvin. I also explored more, and now I have some Pokemon on standby. But with that, we come back to Tate and Liza with a new but familiar-ish team, and so much more ready. We lead Sharpedo and Crawdaunt for the double surf tactics, but Calvin wants Crunch and Crabhammer, so we take what we can get, and we eat an Earthquake. We quickly target the Claydol down and take him out. Solrock comes out next, while Xatu just uses Confuse Ray, but Crawdaunt doesn't care and almost one-shot Solrock, and Sharpedo comes in with the clutch surf to finish him off. Just Lunatone and Xatu left, and Crawdaunt comes to his senses and Crab hammers Lunatone to near half, while Sharpedo crunches Xatu into oblivion. Foolish Moon. And from there, we crack this crescent into the dirt. We beat Tate and Liza deathless. All my hope for this challenge has resurged as we secure the Mind Badge. With our newfound confidence, we head to the space station to stop Team Magma. We crush grunt after grunt with ease. Sharpedo crunches and slashes his way through with nary a scratch. We make it to Steven, and I feel something strange in my soul. Calvin is restless. He would get this way each time I got near Steven, but this time, it's different. I answer yes to Steven's question, and the rest is a blur. But from what I remember, we fused our inventories, our battle, our souls. Calvin, Steven, and I were now one. We get through the fight with no trouble at all, but I was never the same. We were never the same. A piece of Steven's soul was now a part of us. He asked me to come to his house, and he gives me some plan B and tells me to scram. But I know we will see each other again soon. I head to the seafloor cavern now that I can dive and pick up a Golbat. Then I have my first fight alone, with Calvin of course, and our main form is now Steven. I hear Calvin cry out. And then Steven. I beat up more suckers and do the strength puzzle first try. Look, it's recorded proof that it is my first try doing it. No editing involved here. And I make my way into the musky room where Kyogre slumbers. And down comes Archie, out of breath and completely soaked. Titties bulging, and he's looking for a battle. I lead Skarmory for his huge bulk, and he starts wailing on the Mightyena with flies. Bzz, bzz. He hits some scary faces and a super potion. I hit an air cutter. He hits a swagger, which just powers me up, and I fly anyways and snap out of confusion and send the dog straight to heaven. Crobat's coming out, so we switch into a Mightyena of our own. He hits an air cutter. I hit a strength. We do a little dance back and forth, but I come out on top. I'm the big dog. Then he switches into Sharpedo, and we put in a little scared Chimecho. And I thought we were going to lose a Pokemon, but he just one-shots him with Double Edge, and we smash Archie's cheeks. With his chest bursting out of his shirt, he shows me his red orb, and Kyogre wakes up. He hates it so much that he also learns Fly and flies away. Archie starts muttering to himself about being big and stupid when Maxie comes busting in with his goons and gives Archie a big ol' kiss. Then he asks me for help to clean up their mess. We do share a scenic view while Archie and Maxie run around aimlessly like chickens with their heads cut off, and then they just run away. Then Steven comes down from the heavens, and the clouds part. My heart flutters, and he tells me to meet him in Sutopolis, the city of love. Steven then tells me to follow him as I take his strong, firm hand. He leads me to the back entrance of the city, geeking out about lore. As Calvin grows unrelentlessly restless, he leads me to the Cave of Origin with his staunch stride. I enter the cave and talk to Wallace, the champion of Hoenn, and then he relies on the answer of a child to determine where Rayquaza lives. The soul of Steven chooses Sky Pillar, and Calvin picks his backyard from when he was 3. Wallace is pleased for now. I head towards Sky Pillar and meet up with Wallace again, and he says he's too scared to go up there and forces me to go up in his stead. I gaze upon the great big green lizard worm thingy, and then he flies away. Rayquaza, I love you. I tell Archie and Maxie to go get a room now that I've cleaned up their mess, and then Wallace lets me waterfall his Fiji water. I go around collecting some items, TMs, and Pokemon, and I'm ready to face off against the 8th gym. But first, I need to complete this ice puzzle in one go, or I risk facing mini trainers. And with mindful thinking and quick precision, I complete it with ease. This is my team of 6 to face off against Juan, which I don't feel great about, but we have to try. I start with Altaria, hoping and praying that we just use Dragon Dance. Sadly, it doesn't happen, as Altaria falls under Lovedisk's Siren Song. We trade a ton of hits, and then all of a sudden we send in Gyarados after way too long of an exchange. But hey, what can you fucking do when Calvin's at the wheel? Gyarados easily takes out Lovedisk, and Juan wants to send in a stinky Whiscash. We retaliate with Absol, as 3 strengths get the job done. And next up is Celio. I keep Absol in because he knows Thunder, and my plan works perfectly as we 2-shot Celio and live. I decide to risk Absol as I won't need him for the Elite Four, and he just absolutely smacks Crawdon into next week. I let Absol rest as my nightmare comes out last, Kingdra. Thankfully, we get Gyarados for Intimidate, but we are on a bit of a clock. With Dragon Dance, Double Team, Rest, and all the potions that Juan has, this becomes scarier and scarier with each passing turn. We get really close, but miss Thunder, and these double teams are absolutely ruining me. Finally, Gyarados goes down, and this is now a nightmare scenario, as Altaria comes out and immediately dies. Crawdon is my last hope with his Blizzard. We hit one, but then Juan uses a potion. We hit another, and then I miss my last Blizzard. Then the Kingdra rests, and the light leaves my eyes. Calvin and Steven are at each other's necks as we surf and surf and surf until Crawdaunt sadly falls. Absol comes out just to die, and I'm ready to reset as I'm just gonna have to watch my Sharpedo miss attack after attack. But wait, the moves that I'm actually hitting, the crunches, have been lowering his special defense. And Sharpedo actually fucking clutches it up, and we beat the 8th gym battle by just a hair and secure the rain badge. Juan congratulates me, but I have to go clean up the mess I made in my shorts. I get a new team and a new pair of shorts, one a bit more prepared for Victory Road and maybe even the Elite Four. But first, we must face off against Wally. He has literally never been a problem until this very fight, where he just has a dragon dancing Altaria. And so with a heavy heart, it is sad to say my Flygon dies, as we decide that strength is better than dragon breath. Thanks, Calvin. We send out a Claydol to quickly finish off Altaria as Roselia comes in, and it's time for my boy Muck to shine. Say Muck backwards 3 times to summon him. He bodies Roselia, and the big bad Gardevoir is here. So we switch into Golbat, and as he's dealing blows, he very nearly gets one shot, but is able to take the Gardevoir out in the nick of time, just for us to fight Magneton. We absorb the Future Sight and one-shot Magneton with a single Earthquake, and from this point, it's just a little kitty cat that Claydol can easily wipe out, and we beat Wally with only 1 death. We start making our way through Victory Road, but it's not without its challenges, as there are some tough trainers. Sadly, Claydol falls to a Tropius, and Kecleon falls to a Sableye that it can't even hit. But despite that, we make it out of Victory Road and on to the Elite Four. We've made it this far. Surely we can finish this thing as long as I plan accordingly and Calvin doesn't have a conniption. Now, I spent many hours gathering Pokemon, items, EVs, levels, and TMs, all to make sure that Calvin would have the easiest time facing the Elite Four. I handpicked each Pokemon for their strengths and did everything, so Calvin can't possibly mess this up, right? Right? We step into the Elite Four, and first we must face Sidney, the Dark-type trainer. I lead with Salamence because of Intimidate and his huge body, and now I execute phase 1 of my plan. We switch through our Pokemon one by one and carefully dismantle each of Sidney's Pokemon while I get to level 59 to give me every single possible edge I can. And we are able to clear Sidney with relative ease thanks to our level advantage. As we go deeper though, that advantage grows smaller and smaller. Next, we face off against Phoebe, the Ghost-type trainer, and I planned for a huge Sharpedo sweep. Dusclops can only use Protect to slow down the Mini Shark. I switch out, trying to get Raichu in to get the level up, but Gyarados comes out instead to face off Bayonet, and after a scary Thunderbolt, we're able to 2-shot the weird Ghost Doll thing. And back to Sharpedo, as another Dusclops comes out, we're able to finish him off in a couple of crunches. Pressure has been eating away at my moves, and to conserve some, I switch out into my half-health Gyarados, unfortunately, and this is where I think the first Pokemon's going down. But despite a double team, Gyarados just 2-shots Sableye like a cold-blooded serpent, and Sharpedo back out to quickly finish off the last Bayonet, and we beat the second Elite Four fight deathless. We make it to Glacia, the Ice-type trainer, and I lead Salamence, unfortunately, because the document I was looking at showed Glalie lead, but instead it's Celio, and this is bad. One wrong move, and Calvin can blow. Thankfully, a few simple Dragon Claws and Flamethrowers eat a potion and get him the kill on Celio. Next is the real Glalie, so we stay in and flambe the Ice Ball with a Fire Blast. Now we have the second Celio coming out, and I want Raichu in. But instead we get Mach, which is still fine because he knows Thunder, and he lets it rip into Celio as we beat her third Pokemon. The second Glacia's coming out, and I'm sure it's going into Salamence, but Raichu comes out next, and thankfully she just one-shots the Glalie with a critical hit Iron Tail. God, what a badass. Last is her Walrein, and I'm confident in my Raichu, so she stays out and with no hesitation guns down the Walrein, and we beat the third Elite Four member, Deathless. Next is Drake, the Dragon Trainer, but I genetically modified this Walrein to eat dragons for breakfast, and that's just what he does as Blizzard dismantles his first two Pokemon. But we start missing, and Altaria uses Dragon Dance after Dragon Dance. I start sweating a little, but with a minor adjustment to use Ice Beam, we just one-shot the Altaria. And out comes the terrifying Kingdra, but this is what Salamence was made for. One Dragon Claw is all it takes, and I can taste victory on my lips. Last is Flygon, but Walrein has no trouble taking him out with a single Ice Beam to defeat the fourth Elite Four member, Deathless. This is the absolute dream scenario, having all my Pokemon alive for the final fight versus the champion Wallace. I feel like all my hard work is truly paying off, with Calvin and Steven, kind of being there or whatever. And it looks like we've got a real shot of winning. Wallace leads Wailord, and I lead Raichu. And one decisive Thunder easily one-shots the fat whale. One down. Gyarados is coming out, and this is just another easy Thunderbolt one-shot from Raichu. After that, we've got a simple Wish Cache, and decide to send in Muck. Not really my first choice, but he throws out a Sludge Bomb, and we get hit with a critical hit Earthquake, which sends us into the red. And with our first Pokemon taking so much damage, Calvin erupts. And as Steven tries to hold him back, he flings out a Master Ball, not only wasting the turn, but sealing Muck's untimely demise. In a fit of rage and sadness, Calvin overpowers Steven and sends out Raichu, but Calvin doesn't know electric moves can't be used on ground types, and she falls to a single Earthquake. Wait! She lives on 4 HP? It's not over yet, as Wallace uses a full restore, but Calvin and Steven are fighting for control, and they just keep pressing strength, and Raichu finally falls to an Earthquake. Calvin is now in full meltdown mode. It's like you asked him what his name was, and all he knows is fine dining and breathing. But as I'm holding him back, Steven is able to send out a Gyarados and finish off the Wish Cache with a Surf and Ice Beam. Okay, we're getting this train back on track. We keep Gyarados in to fight Tentacruel. We trade a few blows, hitting some Thunderbolts, getting poisoned, but ultimately we take down the Tentacruel. And now, the Pokemon I was worried the most of, Milotic. This is why I raised Raichu in the first place, but that plan has failed. And now all I can do is hope we make it through. We send out Sharpedo. He's carried us this far, but Calvin frantically yells that he can help and presses Earthquake, swearing it has the highest attack power. Steven now wrestling with him, saying we have black glasses and stab-boosted Crunch, but Calvin closes his ears as Earthquake after Earthquake comes out, and Milotic slowly recovering the HP, chipping away Sharpedo's health. And even at 1/3 HP, another Earthquake only gets Milotic to a sliver, and Sharpedo dies. And as Gyarados is sent out, Wallace uses a full restore, and my heart sinks. Are we really going to lose after all of that? After everything I did to carry this little shitter all the way to the Elite Four, handcrafting his victory? As Steven and Calvin bicker, Steven misclicks and hits Ice Beam, and then we only hit one Thunderbolt. But that brings us to a 2v2. There's still a chance. Calvin slams in Salamence and uses strength. He uses strength? Why? Just why? Milotic uses recover, and we get another chance, but another strength. And at this point, Steven has Calvin like Homer strangling Bart as an ice beam comes out. And Salamence survives. So now we just hit one more time, and we kill Milotic. And as Calvin grows blue and purple in the face, he flicks me off one last time and throws a Master Ball at Milotic. This slimy, greasy, petty, vindictive devil child kills our Salamence. And as Steven snuffs the last bit of life from Calvin, he starts fading away too, as if killing Calvin has also killed himself. And now Calvin lays dead in our Mind Palace, and I'm left alone. But the battle's still raging on. It's a 1v1, my Walrein versus his Ludicolo. But all I can do is sit and watch in horror as moves are selected at random. All I can hear is the buzz inside my own head. The silence is now deafening. And as my Walrein dies, my mind blank, and everything white. I lost. How? How did I lose? I say to myself as I walk along Victory Road, solemnly looking out, wondering where it all went wrong. Now that Calvin and Steven are gone, I can't battle anymore. And the journey is truly over. Hey, if you made it to the end here, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I had a ton of fun making it, and it's really been a nice new experience to make a piece of content like this. I hope you'll stick around, like, and subscribe if you want to see more.